Hello, my name is Zuka, and I'm going to explain my research topic, which is IBS, short for Irritable Bowel Syndrome. IBS affects the bowels, mainly the large intestines. It causes irritation by unnecessary contraction of the large intestines, and that causes bloating, abdominal pain, and other symptoms. IBS is very hard to diagnose because its cause is unknown, which is why it's also therefore a chronic illness which till this day has no cure, but hopefully we'll find some answers together. If you're wondering how rare IBS is, it's actually the most commonly diagnosed GI illness. GI stands for gastroenterology, which is the branch of medicine that focuses on the digestive system and its disorders. About 10 to 15% of adults in the US have symptoms, but only 5 to 7% of them get diagnosed with IBS, which is why it's called an underdiagnosed illness. If you'd like a more specific number, about 3.5 million doctor visits occur per year that are related to IBS. And in the US alone, there are 200,000 new cases every single year. But if you're wondering, who can get IBS? Does it affect one gender? Well, it can affect males or females. However, females are more likely to get it. And what age does it happen at? Typically, people have recorded that they experience their symptoms between the ages of 20 and 30. But what are some effects that IBS has on a lifestyle? Well, to start out with, symptoms. 47% of people with IBS said that they were unable to predict their symptoms, and 54% of them said that they experienced major fatigue. 20% of them agreed with the statement that IBS badly affected their work or school, and they said that they had around 15 missed days per year on average. Their productivity went way down due to the fact that they were always fatigued and they had symptoms they could not predict. But the biggest effect that IBS can have on someone's life is through mental health. 40 to 60% of people who have IBS also have anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues, and it causes a loop. If you'd like to think about it in steps, the first step is to cause IBS, and the second step is to be in an awkward or uncomfortable situation, usually caused by IBS. The third one is to be stressed about that situation, and the fourth step is to cause another IBS flare-up. This causes an infinite loop that you just cannot get out of. So what about my research? Well, I designed a daily log, which is basically a survey for people who have IBS so that they can track their food, their stress, their symptoms, and their pain for 9 weeks, so that we could see what really causes IBS, so that maybe we could also find a way to treat it. I broke this up into 3-week intervals. This basically means that during the first 3 weeks, I asked my survey participants to log everything as usual before the research started. And during the next 3 weeks, they would log everything the same way, except they would take out their trigger food from their diet. We wanted to see if this would help them improve. During the last 3 weeks, they would go back to their regular diet, same foods that they used to eat, even with their trigger food. But what's the point of all that? Our task for the first 3 weeks was to identify their trigger food by seeing what they ate on a specifically painful day. The next 3 weeks, we cut out that trigger food to see if it was stress or food that was causing their IBS flare-up, and this is different for every patient. During the last 3 weeks, we wanted to see if it was an actual improvement by going back to their original diet, or if it was just a few good weeks, because some IBS patients experience temporary relief of symptoms when they cut out a trigger food the first time, but not the second. So what causes IBS? It could be food or it could be stress. And if we figure out which one of these it is, we can either cut out the trigger food, or if it's a stress problem, we can find better ways to cope. If every individual can understand what their problem really is, then they can find a way to live a happier life. But what role does stress have on IBS? Well, your brain and your digestive system are actually linked together. Your brain is the one that tells your digestive system to start contracting your intestines after you've eaten so that all the food that you just ate gets digested. However, sometimes your brain malfunctions and incorrectly sends information to the digestive system, telling it to start the digestive process even if you haven't eaten. And what does this cause? Unnecessary contractions, which cause abdominal pain, bloating, and other things like that. But what causes all of this? Stress. This goes back to the loop that I talked about earlier. The first step is to cause IBS. And what causes IBS? It could be stress. The next step is to be put in an awkward situation, such as social gatherings. And after that, you're stressed even more, which increases your pain, and that just causes an infinite loop that you cannot escape. But if we've already established that stress and food are the main causes of IBS, then why haven't we found a treatment? Well, this explains it. Trigger foods can change on a daily basis. For example, let's say you're an IBS patient who cuts out gluten for a few days. You may experience temporary symptom relief, but after a few days or a few weeks, you may experience the same kind of pain and symptoms that you were experiencing before. IBS is tailored to every single individual, and that's why it's so hard to find a cure. Because of this, we can't find anything that can help everyone. However, we can do trial and error on our own to find what our trigger food is, what our stressful situations are, and ways to avoid both of those. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helped you understand a little more about IBS. Have a good day!